Hi, I'm Maitali. Before I continue my story, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like mine. Today, I'm sharing how I went from being America's perfect pageant princess to finally finding myself. In our house, appearance wasn't just important, it was everything. My earliest memories involve my mother applying petroleum jelly to my gums to help me smile wider, longer, brighter. Perfect teeth, perfect posture, perfect girl. She'd chant while I practiced walking with books balanced on my head at age 5. Nat has my bone structure, but thankfully her father's metabolism. Mom would tell her pageant friends, discussing my body as if I weren't standing right there. We won't have the weight struggles I faced in my competition days. My mother, Veronica Lee, had been first runner-up for Miss California in 1995. For her, that silver medal finish was a wound that never healed, and I was her second chance at glory. My younger brother, Tyler, existed in a completely different household than I did. While I survived on carefully measured protein portions and steam-cooked vegetables, he ate normal kid food. While I spent weekends at pageant boot camps and modeling workshops, he played baseball and video games. My brother was allowed to be a child. I was being molded into a product. Your sister is special, my mother would explain when Tyler questioned the difference in our treatment. She's going to be famous. Dad mostly stayed out of pageant business, as he called it. That's your mother's department, he'd say whenever I tried to talk to him about the pressure. He worked long hours as a hospital administrator, which gave him a convenient excuse to remain absent from the increasingly tense dynamic at home. By the time I was 12, my daily schedule was more demanding than most corporate executives. Up at 5 a.m. for workout and skincare, followed by hair and makeup practice before school. Evenings were filled with talent rehearsal, classical violin, which I hated but which scored well with judges, interview preparation, and endless posing in front of mirrors to eliminate any unflattering angles. Food became my enemy by age 10. Mom monitored every calorie with military precision. Natural beauty needs nurturing, she'd say while measuring my almond milk to the exact ounce. Discipline is what separates champions from everyone else. What no one saw, not the judges, not the pageant moms who envied my mother's dedication, not even my distracted father, were the panic attacks that started when I was 13. They'd hit right before competitions, my chest tightening, breathing impossible, the world spinning while Mom applied another coat of mascara and reminded me to suck it in. It's just nerves, she dismissed when I finally told her. All champions get them. Now take this, she added, handing me a little white pill. It'll calm you down without making you drowsy. I never asked what those pills were. They worked, and that was all that mattered to both of us. They stopped the shaking, dulled the edges of my anxiety, and helped me flash that perfect, practiced smile that won me title after title. When I was 15, we moved from our small Missouri town to Los Angeles. Not for Dad's job or for Tyler's education, but because that's where the serious pageant opportunities are, according to Mom. I left behind my few friends and any semblance of a normal teenage life. In LA, everything intensified. Mom found coaches who had trained actual Miss America winners. I started working with a pageant-specialized nutritionist who further restricted my already minimal diet. My daily schedule now included session with movement specialists to perfect the way I walked, sat, turned, and gestured. Only 5% body fat, Mom announced triumphantly after one particularly grueling assessment. Perfect for the swimsuit competition. What she didn't mention was that I'd stopped having periods 6 months earlier, that my hair was thinning, or that I'd grown 2 centimeters shorter due to bone density issues. All red flags my doctors had raised but Mom had waved away as temporary side effects of dedicated training. The strangest part was that I kept winning. Each crown, each sash, each trophy validated my mother's methods and pushed us further down this path. I became a minor celebrity in the pageant world. The girl to beat, the one whose name caused other contestants to exchange nervous glances. Through it all, Tyler was my only connection to reality. 3 years younger and completely removed from the pageant world, he would sneak into my room after particularly tough practice sessions with contraband snacks and stories about his normal teenager life. You know this is messed up, right? He said one night after finding me practicing my walk at 1 a.m. Ankles bleeding from breaking in new heels. Mom's lost it, and you're disappearing. It'll be worth it when I win Miss Teen America. I replied automatically, repeating the mantra Mom had drilled into me for years. Will it? Will a plastic crown really fix anything? I didn't have an answer. The truth was, I couldn't remember what fix would even feel like. Who was I beyond carefully crafted answers about world peace and ending hunger? What did Nehali, not the pageant automation I'd become, actually want? The panic attacks worsened that year, requiring stronger pills with more concerning side effects. I developed rituals to manage my anxiety, touching each fingertip to my thumb 3 times before going on stage, reciting prime numbers under my breath during interviews, keeping a small stone in my palm during talent portions to ground myself when dissociation set in. Then came the qualifiers for Miss Teen America, the ultimate goal my mother had been driving toward since I was in diapers. Against 49 other state representatives, each with their own pageant-obsessed mothers and grueling regimens, I had advanced through preliminaries and into the finals. The night before the final competition, Mom was reviewing my performance with clinical detachment. Your turns were sloppy in the evening wear segment, she critiqued, replaying videos of my performance. And you need more brightness in your smile during the fitness portion. The judges in the front row couldn't see your back molars. I nodded mechanically, but inside something was shifting. The pills weren't working as well anymore. The panic was building but transforming into something else, a quiet rage that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. Mom, I interrupted her critique. What happens after tomorrow? If I win? She looked surprised at the question. We capitalize on the title, of course. Sponsorships, modeling contracts, then prepare for Miss America when you're old enough. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning, not the finish line I'd been promised all these years, but merely another starting point for more of the same. More restriction, more performance, more emptiness. And if I don't win? Her expression hardened. That's not an option we're considering, Natalie, not after everything we've invested. We. Always we. As if my body, my face, my performances were joint property. The next morning, I went through the familiar motions. Hair extensions secured. Makeup applied in layers thick enough to withstand stage lights, but natural enough to appear effortless. Special adhesive to keep my swimsuit in place, posture tape along my spine to prevent even momentary slouching, numbing spray on my feet so I could smile through the pain of 6-inch heels. Tyler appeared at my dressing room door while Mom was arguing with a lighting technician about my best angles. You okay? He asked, really looking at me in a way few people did anymore. I'm fine, I replied automatically. No, you're not. You haven't been fine in years, Nat. He handed me a small envelope. Open this if you win tonight, or if you don't. Just read it, okay? Backstage at the final night of competition was organized chaos. 50 girls with identical smiles and distinct versions of the same pageant-approved personality, all pretending we were friends while sizing each other up with expert precision. Shoulders back, stomach in, neck long, Mom whispered urgently as they called my name for the evening gown competition. Remember, every step is being judged. I floated onto the stage in a custom-designed gown that had cost more than Dad's first car. The lights were blinding, the audience a faceless mass of noise and expectation. I hit every mark, turned at exactly the right moment, maintained eye contact with all 3 judges. A perfect performance from a perfectly trained doll. As I stood with the other 5 finalists, waiting for the results, I felt strangely detached, as if I were floating above the stage, watching someone who looked like me but wasn't actually me at all. And the new Miss Teen America is Natalie Lee from California. The audience erupted. My competitors hugged me with practiced grace. The outgoing queen approached with the crown that had dominated my existence for as long as I could remember. This was it, the moment that would validate every sacrifice, every painful step, every skipped meal and swallowed pill. As the crown was placed on my head, secured by hidden combs and enough hairspray to deplete the ozone layer, I smiled the smile I'd rehearsed 10,000 times in mirrors across America. I waved the wave that had been calibrated for maximum elegance with minimum exertion. I spoke the words of gratitude I'd memorized years before. And I felt absolutely nothing. In the chaos that followed, press photos, interviews, congratulations, I remembered Tyler's envelope. Slipping into a bathroom stall for a moment of privacy, I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a plane ticket and a handwritten note. You've won their prize. Now come claim your life. T. The ticket was for the following morning, destination New York, where our mother's estranged sister, lived. The aunt who had left pageant life decades ago and built a completely different existence. That night, after the official celebrations, Mom was already planning next steps. "We'll need to renegotiate your coaching team," she said, energy renewed by my victory. "Your platform needs refinement before the Miss America circuit. I'm thinking we pivot from children's literacy to something with more corporate sponsorship potential." I looked at my mother, really looked at her for perhaps the first time. The deep lines around her mouth that even expert Botox couldn't fully erase. The perpetual tension in her shoulders. The way her eyes darted constantly, always seeking approval, validation, confirmation that she, through me, had finally arrived. "Mom," I said quietly, "I'm done." She continued as if I hadn't spoken. "We should consider some subtle dental contouring before the major press tour. Your left lateral incisor photographs slightly shorter than." "I'm done," I repeated, louder this time. This was the last pageant, the last crown. She froze, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. "Don't be ridiculous. This is just the beginning of my life, my choice. Because it hasn't been, Mom. Not ever." What followed was the argument we've been hurtling toward for 16 years. Every bottled emotion, every swallowed protest, every silent scream erupted at once. Mom oscillated between rage and manipulation, between threats and tearful pleas about ungrateful daughters and wasted potential. Dad, finally present for once, stood uncertainly between us. "Maybe we should all calm down and discuss this tomorrow." "There's nothing to discuss," I said, surprising myself with my steadiness. "I won the crown. I fulfilled my end of this arrangement. Now I get to decide what's next." "I decide what's next," Mom shouted, mask fully slipped. "I'm your mother. I built you. Everything you are is because of me." "That's the problem," I replied softly. "Everything I am is because of you. But what about who I want to be?" The next morning, while Mom was sedated with the same type of pills she'd been giving me for years, Dad's suggestion, surprisingly, Tyler helped me pack a single suitcase. The crown and sash remained on my hotel room dresser. "You sure about this?" he asked as we prepared to sneak out. "She'll never forgive you." "I'm sure. But what about you? You'll be alone with them." He shrugged with the resilience of a 14-year-old who had always been allowed to develop his own identity. "Dad's actually not bad when Mom's not in pageant mode. And I can handle myself. This is your only chance, Nat." At the airport, I hugged my brother goodbye. "I'll call you once I'm settled at Aunt Karen's, and I'll be back for you if things get bad." "Things have always been bad," he said wisely. "You just couldn't see it from inside the spotlight." The fallout was nuclear. Mom did every talk show that would have her, painting me as an ungrateful, disturbed teenager who had been manipulated by pageant rivals. She claimed I'd been kidnapped, brainwashed, or seduced away from my promising future. When those narratives failed, she switched to health concerns. I was having a mental breakdown, needed intervention, was danger to myself. Through it all, I remained quietly at my aunt's Manhattan apartment, slowly discovering who Natalie might be without sequins and stage lights. The first step was medical, addressing the physical damage years of pageant life had inflicted. Malnutrition, bone density issues, anxiety disorders that no longer responded to quick fix pills. Aunt Karen, who had escaped a similar path 30 years earlier, helped me navigate everything from health insurance to college applications. "Your mother didn't invent this cycle," she explained one night. "It was done to her too. The difference is, she never found the strength to break it." Recovery wasn't linear. Some days, I still caught myself reflexively checking my posture in every reflective surface, mentally calculating calories, or practicing answers to interview questions no one was asking. Deprogramming 16 years of conditioning doesn't happen overnight. 6 months after leaving pageant life, I received a large envelope from Tyler. Inside was a magazine with my mother on the cover, alongside a new teenage girl with familiar vacant eyes and practiced smile. The headline read, "Pageant Coach to the Stars, Veronica Lee's Comeback Story." She had found a replacement for me, another young girl to mold, another vehicle for her unfulfilled ambitions. I should have felt relieved that her focus had shifted, but all I felt was profound sadness for the girl in the photo. I recognized that empty smile, knew the cost of maintaining it. I wrote to the girl, care of my mother's business address, a simple note. If you ever need help, call this number. I included my contact information and a promise. There is life beyond the tiara. I promise. 2 years after winning Miss Teen America, I was a pre-med student at NYU. My hair had grown back thicker, my periods had returned, and I had gained 20 healthy pounds. I made actual friends, people who had no idea about my pageant past until it occasionally surfaced in conversation. Wait, you're get at Natalie Lee? A classmate exclaimed after Googling me following a casual mention of my former life. The one who disappeared after winning? There are whole conspiracy theories about you online. I laughed, genuinely, not the carefully practiced pageant laugh that had been choreographed down to the exact number of seconds it should last. I didn't disappear. I just started existing as myself instead of someone else's project. On the third anniversary of my last pageant, I received an unexpected phone call. It was the girl from the magazine cover, my replacement. Is this Natalie, the Natalie who left the note? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Yes, it's me. I need help, she said simply. I can't do this anymore. 3 days later, she was sleeping in my aunt's guest room, the same room that had been my first taste of freedom. The cycle of escape and recovery beginning again. That night, I finally called my mother for the first time since leaving. Her voice was cool, controlled. Natalie, I assume you're calling about Sierra. Your father said she contacted you. Yes, she's safe. She's making a terrible mistake, just like you did. All that potential wasted. I took a deep breath. Mom, the only waste was how long it took me to realize that tiaras and sashes aren't actually measures of human worth. Easy to say when you've thrown away everything I built for you, she replied bitterly. You built a prison, Mom, not a future. I paused, softening my tone. But I didn't call to argue. I called because despite everything, I understand why you did what you did. You thought you were giving me something valuable, the success you couldn't achieve yourself. The silence stretched between us, decades of unspoken truths suspended in the static. You were perfect, she finally said, her voice catching. My perfect creation. That was never what I needed to be, Mom. Not for you, not for anyone. We didn't resolve anything in that conversation. Some wounds are too deep, some patterns too ingrained for simple closure. But it was a beginning, the first honest words we'd exchanged in perhaps my entire life. 4 years after winning my final crown, I sat in a university auditorium receiving a different kind of recognition, acceptance to medical school. No rhinestones, no runway, no rehearsed acceptance speech, just genuine accomplishment based on my own hard work and choices. My aunt and Tyler cheered from the audience. Dad had come too, awkwardly proud and trying to bridge the years of emotional absence. Mom had declined the invitation, but had sent a card, progress of a sort. As I looked around at my fellow students, all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, united by intellect and ambition, rather than conformity to an arbitrary beauty standard, I realized something powerful. True beauty isn't about perfect teeth or perfect posture or perfect anything. It's about becoming who you were meant to be, not who someone else needs you to be. It's about crowning yourself.